Almost 60 years after his first appearance in the Sandra Dee comedy Take Her, actor James Brolin is still in She's Minnie going strong. Some moments change everything. No matter how strong you believed love was, James Brolin has been there for Barbra Streisand for more than 20 years through Celebrity, Family, and The Weight of Theolite. But something has changed. After Barbara's health suddenly got worse, there have been whispers that James is leaving became louder. People who know them say it wasn't an easy option, but it was one that astonished everyone who knew them. What went on behind closed doors that did James finally say goodbye? Come with us as we find out what made James Brolin do this terrible moment after his wife's diagnosis. James Brolin's love for Barbra Streisand. James Brolin has worked in for years, movies and TV shows. He has never hunted headlines. He doesn't get people riled up controversy. He isn't the kind of person you expect to see on the covers of magazines. And Barbara isn't either. At least not anymore. They've made their life in a way that keeps people safe from chaos. Their marriage, which has been solid for over 25 years, has stayed mostly out of the public eye in the spotlight. What went on behind closed doors that made James finally said what was on his mind by? Come with us as we look into what led James Brolin to this sad moment after his wife's diagnosis. James Brolin's love for Barbra Streisand. James Brolin has worked in for years, movies and TV shows. He has never hunted headlines. He doesn't get people riled up controversy. He isn't the kind of person you expect to see on the covers of magazines. And Barbara isn't either. At least not anymore. They've made their life in a way that keeps people safe from chaos. Their marriage, which has been solid for over 25 years, has stayed mostly out of the public eye in the spotlight. So, when Brolin just people close to them realized they had pulled out, there was something wrong. What does it take for a man in his 80s to still healthy, still respected, and still functioning to answer no, I can't, especially when the job being offered is simple, pays well, and matches his perfectly experienced. In this case, it was something more serious than desire or scheduling. It was about Barbara. Even though there hasn't been an official declaration yet, but those people who have been paying attention have seen the indications. James has stopped answering calls from producers. People don't see him very often outside off-tier estate in Montecito. People who have dealt with him believe he is no longer one to read scripts. And people that know the couple well tell him he's putting all his efforts into it. To remain home and take care of Barbara at ease. He is leaving because something is happening behind doors that are closed that matter more than anything else ever could. The word people employ devotion. They've always kept their private life private, holy. They made sure their home was safe. No one is looking, and no one is trying to get attention. But space has taken on a deeper role. No function. It's become a place to hide and relax, and a place where love is happening. Lifting a lot. James's choice to stay wasn't not really a choice at all. It was instinct. After years of hard work, he's full of humor, fight, and strength, decided to stay where he is needed. He has a strong professional legacy. His person's reputation is good. But just now, the most powerful thing he can do is something that won't show up on a screen. So the question is, what actually creates and walks away after decades of work momentum and the public stage? He's worked so hard to get to this point. Before James Brolin became the man who sat next to Barbra Streisand through the hardest time, she was only a chapter in their life. Craig Kenneth Brutterland was thin and a shy child who grew up in Westwood, Los Angeles Village. Henry, his father, was a contractor for buildings. Helen, his mother, had spent a little. She worked as a film extra for a while, but her world wasn't even close to red carpets. What James remembers most about those early years were all about structure. His dad didn't give out compliments easily. He expected outcomes. Hard labor wasn't negotiable, and feelings were better not said. That upbringing put something in James, a sort of steel under the surface. It also made him want to know the world outside the place where he grew up in. While other kids were daydreaming about, James wanted to play baseball or become a doctor, making a world in his mind. He fell in love the flicks. He especially is really interested in animals, aviation, and how things moved on film. He took model planes apart simply to put them back together better together. He made a recording of his own utilizing a tape recorder to make sound effects, and he started to picture himself in films. But Hollywood didn't wait with open arms. After he changed his Nemito, James Brolin, while he was in his early 20s, began to try out. It didn't go well. Casting agents warned him he was too big, too shy, and too stiff. The response was always no for years. He couldn't be seen. The city didn't see it, him. And throughout those extended spans Offie asked during the quiet time between auditions, all of it, but something kept him there. He'd give up, and just when I thought nothing would ever change, but got a little part on a medical drama called Marcus Welby, MD. Every week, his character, Dr. Stephen Kiley, started getting in touch with audiences. People liked him. They had faith in him. For the first time, manufacturers recognized something they could make money off of. In James Brolin. The show turned into a surprising hit, and Brolin earned an Emmy for his acting. That role became stable his whole life. He finally found a location, and with that place came tranquility. But James never let his success define him. A lot of actors were looking for the next big movie or lived for the tabloids. Brolin took a step back. Changed from leading man to character release. He tried his hand at directing. He chose parts that let him spend time with his kids, not just more time in front of a television. And even when he was in big movies achieved it without Westworld or Traffic, making himself a brand. Worked because he enjoyed the profession and wanted to be famous, never the end aim. When he met Barbara, James had seen it all. Success, rejection, and starting over. And that made him the man he is today. He realized what was important. He had already realized that the strongest people aren't always the loudest. They are sometimes those who stay quiet during the storm and keep going anyway. That's why his recent choice to quit their job says a lot. He's bidding farewell to the stage he battled so hard to get tossed on because something bigger has took its place. And as we show next, if you knew where Barbra Streisand came from, you'd understand why from where you come from. You'll know exactly why that option would be made by James Brolin. A never-lasting love. Barbra Streisand's father died when she was only 15 months old. Emmanuel passed away abruptly on August 4, 1943 due to problems relating to a seizure from epilepsy. She never found out him. The only thing he left behind was quiet. Diana, her mother, had to raise a Barbara with her older brother on Herbie herself. And it wasn't simple. They didn't have much money. They traveled about much. And the sadness in Faith's household merely stayed quiet over all of it. Barbara grew up hungry, not simply for food, but also for love, safety, and pay attention. Later, she remarked that she always felt like they didn't belong. She wasn't thin in the manner magazines say they read find it. She was thin and had a nose people made fun of and a voice that didn't quite fit her size. But she also had another thing, awareness. She knew, even as a teen, that she saw differently. She could copy people. She could copy how people felt. And something broke open when she sung. Something had always been locked inside Hergen. When she was a young adult, Barbara was attempting to get away, not being able to see. Singing in bars at night wasn't fancy, yet it provided her pay attention. People in the audience leaned in. They felt her pain, her edge, and her wanting. That was a person who had been through something. She didn't sing notes to show off. She let them take on the burden of all the things she had lost and all the things she still wanted. And that feeling, being honest, made her different. She didn't seem to be like a normal Hollywood starlet. And for a long time, that hurt her. Casting agents said she was too ethnic, not commercial enough, too weird. But they same rejections are what made her want to take charge of how she looks. She wore what she wanted, even if it didn't follow the pattern. In every manner, she shattered the mold, and in the end, she turned into the mold. When Funny Girl came to Broadway and the world paused when it got on the big screen, they laughed at her and then cheered. But Barbara didn't stop singing and doing things. She wanted to tell stories, not merely a part of someone else's. That's why she battled for behind-the-scenes writing, producing, and controlling the directing. At a time when males were in charge of Thesh played along with the studios and women pushed back. She was the first Ladito write, make, direct, and star in a big studio movie with Yentl. She wanted to change what people were seeing. That meant fighting all the time. Studios didn't believe her. People who didn't like her second-guessed her. People in charge warned her she was too automating. But she never gave up. She won 2 Academy Awards and won a lot of Emmys and Grammys because she lasted every door that tried to shoot in her face. And she brought that same power into her daily life. When later in life, she met James Brolin, had already done it by herself. What she encountered was a man who didn't try to her light. He wasn't scared of being threatened by her celebrity or by her power. He admired the castle she had erected around her, and little by little he was let in. That relationship is what makes her disease now even harder to see from the outside. Barbara has always been the one in charge, the one who is fixing the difficulty, changing the ending, but health doesn't care about how strong you are or legacy. For someone who spent here establishing a voice for the world her whole life couldn't ignore, losing control of her body must feel like the worst twist. Still, for those who really know her story, they get that Barbra Streisand won't give up without a battle. And the man who has neither dose adored her via every incarnation of herself. Barbra Streisand didn't think a lot when she said yes to the blind date in 1996. A buddy had told her to meet this guy, called James Brolin. She hardly knew who was an actor, but I didn't know much else about him, and acted like a cowboy. But when James rang the doorbell, she opened the door, the first thing she said was what she said wasn't very romantic. She looked at his newly cut hair and remarked, "Who did your hair?" That was Barbara. Not afraid to be honest and direct, not attempting to impress anyone. But not instead of. James laughed when he was told to stop. That's when she saw his gaze. He appeared warm, nice, and steady. And for once, she didn't think she had to do well. They carefully formed their relationship. They talked for hours. She discovered herself asking him profound questions, and he didn't flinch when she called him out. He met her with calmness and steadfastness, and without any pride. It was the first time she thought she could let her guard down without losing who she is. But Barbara didn't say yes to getting married immediately away. Not at all. James didn't propose once, 3 times, not twice, before she finally agreed. She was being careful. Early abandonment had a big impact on her life, leaving behind. She couldn't since her father died before. Think of him. She had a hard time as a child, unstable, and being famous just made it harder to trust her for people. She had made her life be yourself, and letting someone in on the world wasn't easy. James got it. He didn't hurry her. He waited patiently every time. That loyalty and steadfastness is what eventually got through to her. On the 1st of July, they got married in a tiny 1998 ceremony at her Malibu home. It was close, emotional, and very individual. They both cried. But joining their lives weren't simply about getting married, promises. James had kids from earlier marriages. Barbara had always kept a close circle. She didn't want to talk about it, even to others who cared about her, but somehow they made it work. She greeted his kids with affection, but never acted like someone she wasn't. She came with honesty and they became family over time. They respected each other, which helped other people's differences. For instance, they have their own bathrooms. It sounds easy, but for 2 strong personalities, that tiny bit of it matters to have your own area. He loves the mending stuff, gardening, and being outside taking the dogs on a walk. She loves to design and silence in photography. At home, they didn't walk on each other's worlds. They give them space. They also have a strong love of nature. Their house is a safe place. They take care of rescuing dogs as they go around the grounds together. 2 persons they finally found something strong. What makes their marriage different is how they've kept their regard for each other. There is no rivalry for the spotlight, tugging for attention. James never tried to make Barbara look bad, but she never tried to make him smaller. He said once, "I love everything she does. I like the decisions she makes." That kind of understanding is hard to find, especially in a world where powerful couples often fall apart under stress. Their bond has lasted for more than 25 years, and it because they let each other do it, not be perfect. They learned early on in not letting the world tell them who they are. And as we are about to show, as they face their hardest season yet, the strength is putting their shared history to the test in ways that no one expected. On a relationship that isn't normal, Barbra Streisand and James Brolin haven't ever followed Hollywood's rules. Both had been judged and misunderstanding long before they ever met each other. But when they worked together, made something that didn't need words or headlines, people have called Barbara hard to deal with for a long time, a phrase that is often used against women who directly ask for additional power. From the very beginning of her career in Hollywood, she refused to be quiet in the face of arrogance. Whether it was a director firing her, detractors assaulting her, or giving her input, she stood steadfast in her appearance. That didn't change when she pressed for marriage to have control over the artistic side of her gigs. Trump brought out political hypocrisy in interviews. The backlash came quickly, but James was always behind her. He was quieter about it, but just as angry in his faithfulness. James didn't have to be in front of the cameras to feel impotent. After he became famous on Marcus Welby, MD, he could have held on to the spotlight. He chose positions that fascinated him, told him what to do, and turn your attention inward to home and family. But with that change came its own a certain form of criticism. Life wasn't easy on them. They lost over the years relatives, friends, and mentors. Barbara was heartbroken when Marvin Hamlish, the composer she'd considered her musical soulmate, died. James, too, felt the ache of aging Moraine Private. He saw his co-workers drift away, felt projects drying up, and had to deal with that kind of quiet that can make event performer with the most sense of reality. Fears about health came too, but they leaned in. Barbara has talked on how stressful it used to be keep her off the stage. When she came back for big performances, it was cause James pushed her to keep going. When she sang at Hyde Park in 2019 to a gathering of 65,000 people, James was waiting in the wings. When James worked behind the camera or took on, Barbara never questioned quieter roles, his decisions. She said nice things about his job, publicly, and strongly defended his piece. Their relationship wasn't based on big events, not big gestures, but modest, recurring actions off belief. The tipping point occurred without a sound, yet the people who were closest to Barbra Streisand saw the change. To people who don't live there, it might have looked like home, retirement, but it was a choice made from the gut. For the last few decades, Barbara had often taken the lead in public, on stage, and in politics. Lead in public, on stage, and in politics platforms, while making creative choices. But Inthi had always been a team, even in private. So James took up the job of a caregiver. Friends claim James has never looked more serious. You can see that he's looking a lot, yet he still won't talk about himself. It's all about making her at ease. There are days when Barbara is just herself, and there are days when she isn't. James becomes the protector on those days, keeping too many people away from her, too much noise and too many choices. Taking care of someone, especially someone you've lived with for decades, is emotional, spiritual, and even existential. Seeing someone you love fade away, even slowly, implies looking at pieces of oneself. It fades too. James, who once stood next to a woman who never runs out of energy, and the difference is big, youth never lets her know how heavy it is. To Barbara, he stays solid and helpful. People who know the pair well claim that James has ceased going to most events in the sector. He said no, invites, turned down last stage opportunities, and cancelled schedule adapting without any fuss. People who have known James for a long time say this isn't a surprise. He's always been dedicated. He never wanted to be in the spotlight, the same manner other people did. Even when he was most noticeable on the red carpet and in the press excursions, he felt the most at ease when he was at home. And now that gut feeling has fully formed. He's just been person Barbara always said he was, strong when it matters most. What makest complexity of their narrative makes it so different. They've laughed, constructed, and disagreed, and left, only to come back closer. They've always been there for each through the ups and downs of their careers and personal lives, breakups. But this chapter, worst one, is where their love has changed in meaning. What are your thoughts on James Brolin's choice? Would you do the same? Give up anything for someone you care about? Please leave your opinions in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more. Also, click the next link, the video that is playing on your screen. You will enjoy it.